Welcome to the Deep Healing Podcast. I'm Jayanne, an energy healer who's obsessed with understanding how to break into the subconscious mind and create healing, lasting changes that bring peace to everyone around me. This podcast is brought to you by JayanneHealing.com. That's JayanneHealing.com and the Jayanne Healing coursework. This is where you can find self-serve courses that can retrain your mind to do anything and get rid of that grinding pain and tension inside and find your peace.
As an empath, I'm often worried about the environment, and I know I'm not alone. This is because we as empaths can feel everything around us, including the distress of the natural world. This series on trees will give you the tools to understand the meaning of what these trees teach us, so you can heal the pain within yourself that's related to these concepts and start to take action if you need to. Hi. Welcome to Jayanne Healing. Welcome to Deep Healing with Jayanne. I am Jayanne, obviously. I'm an energy healer and I help you rewrite your internal programming. And actually, I teach you how to do it so that you're not relying on me or some other energy healer to help you rewrite that internal programming so you can live your best life. The reality of it, not just like living my best life. Woo! Totally different experience, right? When you feel like you're actually sane and collected and I can handle this even if it's crazy versus living my best life. That's a totally different feeling, right? Anyways, today this is our tree series and I am very excited to introduce the first tree in our series. So this fall we're going to talk all about trees and the meaning of trees to our ancestry, to our lives, and the stories that they bring. And our first tree, this is not alphabetical, I promise, but our first tree is the ash tree. Ash. Okay. So the most interesting thing, and I reference this book a lot, you can't even see it, but it's called The Oham, the Celtic Oracle of the Trees by Reese, Mountfort. Now, this is such a good book because it gives the Oham alphabet, and I'm not getting paid for this book, it's just a great book. The Oham alphabet is based on trees. And so most of the trees in my series are United States trees, so they're in the Americas. But a lot of the trees that are here are also in the Celtic tradition, and so they are over there. And if you watch my intro video to my tree series, you know that the Appalachian Mountains go, when the continents were together, they expanded from all the way from like Georgia down there all the way through to the Scottish Highlands. So a lot of the vegetation is the same, right? There are a few trees on this series that are not Oham letters, but this happens to be one of them. And in the Oham, it's not just a letter, okay? The tree is a letter and it represents a story. It represents more than a letter. Okay, and this is so interesting to me because the Oham is one of the most ancient languages, right? And the original languages, all the dead languages, are super important to us because that is the basis of what we are even talking about. That is the basis of what we understand the meaning of life even to be, is what's in all of those dead languages like Latin and Sanskrit, and in this case, Oham, Norse mythology and Norse rune. Yes. And then there's probably plenty more that I don't even know about, right? Because I don't know everything. But if it's a dead language, it's important. That's what you need to know. And in this language, all of the runes are based on trees, and each tree has a story and a meaning. And ash, very interestingly, ash is one of the tallest trees that you can find. It grows up to 115 feet high and can live up to 250 years. So if there was an ash tree planted at the American Revolution, it could still be alive today, except for the part where, or no, yeah, 115 feet, 215 years. But we do a lot of harvesting of our trees here in North America. So it's entirely possible that there are trees that were around during the American Revolution. And trees just tell a story. That's the important thing. Ash, interestingly enough, is all about deep transformation, but with clarity, with very clear, this is what I need to do to change. And it's a drastic change. Like literally the name is ash. Ash is the end of a burning, right? And so when you burn something, you get ash, but you get something that rises from the ashes, right? Kind of like the phoenix going through the fire. And so to me, this makes me think of a lot of like Scorpio themes. If you're into astrology, that's basically the meaning of Scorpio, is this massive transformation, this divine, like deep transformation and bringing like the old up. But this is more like clarity of this is where I need to go. And then but I'm completely okay with everything in my life that has to change in order for me to get there. It's a little bit different from Scorpio, where Scorpio is like, I need to sort out all of these emotions because there's this like whole water thing to it. But it's this complete transformation that makes me think of the similarity. Ash in Celtic tradition was used to make spears, arrows, and wands. So magic wands were used. And so the very interesting thing to me is that these are all tools that are associated with clarity of thought. So maybe this is more of a Sagittarius one, but the change thing just really speaks to Scorpio. Anyhow, so this one it's just this clarity of this is what needs to happen. And it's also linked to fate. So it doesn't mean that destiny is iron cast, but it points to the unique path you have in this world. Now, there's a high side and a low side to everything, right? So the high side is this massive shape-shifting, massive change, cycles of change, evolution, expanded reality, okay? And then if it's on the low side, it's lack of control, victim circumstances, and then like letting other people control you, or there's just a lot of control themes, like the need to take control. Now, I bring up ash specifically because unfortunately, there is a bug, all comes back to bugs, that is destroying the ash trees in North America. And it's called the emerald ash borer. Like many invasive species, it came over on some kind of cargo, and boom, we have a huge population of trees just ripe for this bug, unfortunately. So a lot of the ash trees are dying. And what this represents to me is the transformation of transformations, right? So and like I just got huge chills saying that. So it's the change that is going to change every change before us, every change that has ever changed. And we need to not look back and review it, but change how we view change. And being able to understand what change meant to our ancestry, what change meant before we were born versus what change means now. Because literally everything has gone through these massive changes, even in the last 20 years. But in the last 100 years, it's huge. But 100 years before that, and 100 years before that, it wasn't this rewriting every single view. Like it was possible to be like, this is how the world works. And for your lifespan, that was how the world worked. So the massive amounts of change that people in our generations, in the recent generations, have experienced has never before been seen. And we have to let go of the programming of clinging on. Wow, that one's big. Clinging on to old patterns that are and I don't want to poo the old ways or traditions, right? Because traditions are really important. The meaning of traditions are really important. the actual actions of certain things that we do, right? This is how you cook a meal. That has changed, right? But the traditions and the meaning of traditions and what the deeper meaning of those things are really important. But the how has drastically shifted. And it's so important now because even the way I do things today is totally different than what I did 5 years ago. And without having an open mind, I could not have done that. And so it's this shift. Yeah, that's what I'm understanding is it means that there's this shift from believing that you're the clouds to believing you're understanding you're actually the sky and the clouds are within you and they come and go. Because that is the difference. Or believing that you, like, I'm thinking like in a mine or like a scaffold. That's what it is. The scaffolds are coming off, which is interesting because ash was very much used for building material because it was so tall. So this is the change to change all change. That's what that means. And sadly, though, the trees are dying. But if we don't learn anything from it, then what then the theme's just going to keep coming back and coming back. So now is the time for anyone to learn what you need to learn and move forward in a healed and clear position so that way you can adapt to change better than ever and not have a total emotional upheaval when things change. So let's step into our meditation time. And we're already yawning, so that's good news. Just kind of stretch out your back. Trees in general have a lot to do with the structure of our backs. So it's a good piece to settle into and stretch out. So we're going to just feel into the concept of change and the concept of what the tree ash means to our subconscious and unconscious mind, what the tree ash means to our ancestry, and what the tree ash means to the land that you're currently living in, whether your ancestors lived here or not. If your ancestors lived somewhere else, then it may not have any meaning at all to them. But if you are living in the land where this overhaul is taking place, anywhere in the Appalachian Mountains, and I believe the rest of the country is dealing with this as well. So if you are living in the land is still speaking to you, the spirit of the area is still present. And the spirit of the area wants to communicate with you if you listen. And just be present with that spirit because that's what the dying of the ashes are. They're a symptom of a deeper problem, of a meaningful, very important message that has a lot to do with our collective psyche. That's really heady. That's got a lot of thoughts to it. So don't even think about it too hard, but just focus on connecting in with your divine intuition first and foremost. And then if you're getting a message from the land or from your ancestry, just be present with that for the moment. Just very present with that. And there's just so many tears. I'm just feeling so many tears. tears of ancestral displacement, tears of the work that the spirit of the place and the work that the energy of the space has been building and building and building. And the grief of change. Just any kind of change carries its own grief. And this is a big change. There's a big change happening already. We're just going to be present with that grief. Take some deep breaths. And the grief of displacement is not only, what used to be here and was displaced. It's also unprocessed grief of being transplanted and coming to this area. Because whether the circumstances of coming to this area were by choice, not by choice, good or bad, there is a grief, there is a loss of the connection to the land that your ancestor had before. And there's, for transplants, there's a grief of feeling at home, partially because where you were before, where your ancestry was very connected to the land. And that was a big change coming from wherever your family came from. And losing that connection, that multi-generational connection to the land is a big change. There's grief. The change to change all changes allows for us to be present with that. And start fresh. We've processed this grief and the loss of the land. Now feel you connecting in with the land where you live. Feel yourself connecting in with the spirit of the trees and the land that you live. Feel yourself connecting in with the grass and the flowers. Feel like you can really grow your roots into the land. And for some of you, I don't want to put roots down because I don't want to be here for very long. You still need nourishment where you are right now. And the beautiful thing about humans is that we can move. We are not completely stuck in the land as a tree is. So it is okay to go ahead and put your roots into the ground, deep, deep, and out 5 miles. Just imagine. I don't know why I was going to say, imagine a taproot. And then it just came into my mind, American Taproot, which then it was like, oh, that would be great, a great band name. I don't know why that just little joke came in and I had to giggle. Laughter is healing. Just feel the roots growing in from your feet, growing in from your root chakra, which is where your perineum is. So pointing down your body. And just allow the nutrients of the earth to feed you. and come up through your whole body and just rejuvenate you and invigorate you. Oh, wow, that one really got my heart. Oh. All right, so open your eyes, wiggle your fingers. That one was very deep, so you might sleep well after that. Thank you for listening to and watching the tree series on ash. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, just let other people know about it because I thought it was a lot of fun. And just have a wonderful day. Just a deeply rooted day. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I love you.
Did you know that 90% of actions are unconscious? Help a friend or stranger find deep healing through this podcast and become more conscious by leaving a 5-star review wherever you are listening.